You won't believe what happened at Angie Stone's funeral. What should have been a solemn farewell to a music legend turned into a moment that left everyone in stunned silence. Friends, family, and fans gathered, their hearts heavy with grief, ready to celebrate the life of a woman who had given the world some of the most soulful music. But no one expected the shocking revelation that would unfold, one that would rewrite everything they thought they knew about Angie Stone. The air inside the venue was thick with grief. A low murmur of voices filled the space as mourners took their seats, some dabbing at tear-filled eyes, others holding on to loved ones for comfort. Angie Stone's music played softly in the background, a hauntingly beautiful reminder of the powerhouse voice that had touched so many lives. It was supposed to be a day of remembrance, a final goodbye to a woman whose music had defined a generation. Industry legends, lifelong friends, and devoted fans had all come together to honor her. But as the ceremony began, the sorrow in the room was about to be overshadowed by something no one saw coming. A revelation so deeply personal, it would leave the entire audience in stunned silence. As the ceremony moved forward, one tribute after another poured in. Fellow musicians stepped up to the podium, their voices heavy with emotion, as they shared heartfelt memories of Angie's kindness, wisdom, and unwavering passion for music. Some recalled late-night studio sessions where her laughter filled the room, while others spoke of the advice she had given them during their lowest moments. Outside the venue, fans gathered in clusters, singing her songs through their tears, each lyric now carrying a deeper meaning. But then, something shifted. The energy in the room changed the moment Angie's daughter took the stage. The hushed murmurs faded, and an almost eerie silence took over. She gripped the podium, her hands trembling slightly, her face a mix of grief and something else, something unspoken. She took a deep breath and looked around the room, her eyes searching, as if trying to find the right words. This wasn't just another tribute. This wasn't just a farewell speech. It was something much more personal. Something that would change everything people thought they knew about Angie Stone. As she began to speak, her voice trembled, but there was a quiet strength behind it. She didn't talk about Angie Stone, the legend. She spoke about Angie Stone, the mother, the woman who had sacrificed, struggled, and loved in ways the world had never seen. She shared stories of late-night talks, of laughter that echoed through their home, of lessons that shaped her into the person she was today. But as she continued, her words took a turn that no one expected. She paused, gripping the edges of the podium, as if bracing herself for what she was about to say. Then, with tears pooling in her eyes, she whispered, "There's something I only just found out. Something my mother kept from me my entire life." The room went completely still. A secret? One that Angie had carried to her grave? The tension was unbearable. People shifted in their seats, hearts pounding as they waited for the truth to unfold. Then, with shaking hands, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded letter. Angie's final message to her daughter. The audience leaned in, their eyes locked on the fragile piece of paper in her grasp. But just as she was about to read it, something happened that no one saw coming. Just as Angie's daughter prepared to read her mother's final words, the lights in the venue flickered, then dimmed. A hush fell over the crowd as the massive screen behind her came to life. The grainy image of Angie Stone appeared, her face calm, her eyes filled with an almost knowing sadness. A soft gasp rippled through the audience, and then her voice echoed through the room. "If you're watching this, it means I've already moved on to the next chapter." The air grew thick with emotion. Angie's presence, even from beyond, felt tangible, her voice both soothing and heartbreaking. Some clutched their chests, others wiped away silent tears. "Don't cry for me," she continued, her voice steady yet heavy with emotion. "Celebrate me. Play my music. Keep my spirit alive." But then, her expression shifted. The warmth in her eyes gave way to something deeper, something unresolved. "There's something I never got to say," she admitted, "something I kept buried for years." The audience held their breath. Angie had always been open about her struggles, but this felt different. This felt personal. Her daughter, still clutching the letter, stood frozen in place. She had thought she knew everything about her mother, but as the video played on, it became clear she didn't. She had no idea what was coming next. The silence in the room was deafening. Angie's voice, though no longer in the present, filled every corner of the venue, wrapping around the audience like a ghostly embrace. "I had to make a choice," she confessed. her voice softer now, almost as if she were speaking directly to one person, one that no mother should ever have to make. Her daughter's hands tightened around the letter. The weight of those words settled over her like a crushing force. What was her mother trying to say? Angie took a slow breath on the screen, her eyes filled with something between sorrow and relief. There was someone in my life who needed me, but at the time, I couldn't be there the way they deserved. Gasps filled the room. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Who was she talking about? A lost love? A hidden family member? Angie's daughter's face went pale. She looked at the screen, her breath shallow, her mind racing. She had never heard her mother speak like this before. The video flickered for a moment, as if it might cut off. But then, Angie's voice returned, this time quieter. "I did what I thought was best," she whispered. "But I always wondered, did I make the right choice?" Her daughter's lip trembled. Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had spent years questioning if she truly mattered to her mother. And now, for the first time, she realized Angie had been carrying the same pain. But before anyone could fully process what had just been revealed, something even more unexpected happened. Just as the audience tried to grasp the weight of Angie's confession, a voice from the crowd shattered the silence. "She wasn't talking about what you think." Gasps rippled through the venue. Heads turned, eyes searching for the source of the interruption. A woman, dressed in black, slowly stepped forward. Her face was familiar, one of Angie's closest friends from the industry, someone who had been by her side for decades. But tonight, her expression was different. Somber, knowing. Angie's daughter's breath hitched. Her grip on the letter tightened. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman sighed, as if carrying the weight of a truth she never wanted to share. "She told me about it once, years ago, but she never had the heart to say it out loud. And now, she's finally letting it out." The room was on edge. The tension was suffocating. "She wasn't talking about a lost love," the woman continued, her voice thick with emotion. "She was talking about you." A stunned silence. Angie's daughter's face went completely pale. Her lips parted, but no words came out. "Me?" she finally whispered, her voice cracking. The woman nodded. "There was a time when she felt like she had to choose. Her career was taking off. The world wanted more of her. The industry demanded everything. Her time, her energy, her soul. But at home, she had you. And she was terrified that she couldn't be both a superstar and a mother." Tears welled in Angie's daughter's eyes. She had spent years feeling like she was in her mother's shadow, like she had to fight for her attention. But now, in this moment, she realized her mother had been fighting too, fighting with herself. "She always wondered if she made the right choice," the woman added, her voice shaking. "Even at the height of her fame, she never stopped worrying about it. That's why, in her final days, she wanted to make sure you knew she never, ever stopped loving you." Angie's daughter let out a quiet sob. She looked down at the letter in her hands, her fingers trembling. And with a deep breath, she prepared to read the final words her mother had left behind. The room was thick with emotion, an unbearable weight pressing down on everyone inside. Angie's daughter swallowed hard, steadying herself. The letter in her hands felt heavier than before, as if it carried not just words, but years of unspoken love, regret, and sacrifice. With a shaky breath, she unfolded the page and began to read. "My dearest love, if you're reading this, then my time has come. But don't be sad, because I have lived a life full of music, love, and purpose. My greatest joy has been being your mother, watching you grow, seeing the light you bring into this world. It was my honor." A quiet sob echoed from somewhere in the crowd. Angie's words carried across the room like a whisper from beyond, holding everyone in their grip. "Never forget, you are stronger than you know, and no matter where I am, I will always be with you." Tears streamed down Angie's daughter's face, her breath coming in uneven gasps. The words were everything she had longed to hear, yet they felt like a final goodbye she wasn't ready for. The audience sat frozen, lost in the weight of Angie's message. Some wiped their eyes, others simply stared ahead, too overwhelmed to react. But just when it seemed like the moment couldn't get any heavier, something unexpected happened. Angie's daughter hesitated. Her fingers brushed the edge of the page, and for the first time, she noticed it. A second sheet, a second part of the letter. Her breath caught in her throat. No one, not even Angie's closest friends, had known this existed. With trembling hands, she turned the page. And what was written next changed everything. As Angie's daughter unfolded the second page, the energy in the room shifted. The air grew thick with anticipation, hearts pounding in unison. It was as if time itself had slowed, stretching every second into something almost unbearable. She took a deep breath, steadying herself before reading the words that had remained hidden until now. "There is something I never had the courage to tell you," she read, her voice trembling. "Something I carried with me for years, hoping that one day I would find the right moment. A hushed gasp rippled through the crowd. Eyes widened. Glances were exchanged. What was she about to reveal? Angie's daughter swallowed hard before continuing. You once thought that my career came before you. But the truth is, I almost gave it all up for you. I had made up my mind. I was ready to walk away from the spotlight, from the stage, from everything, just so I could be the mother you deserved. A murmur spread through the audience. Angie's fans had always known how much she loved music, but no one had ever imagined she had considered leaving it behind. But then something happened, something I never spoke about. The room went still. People leaned forward, holding their breath, hanging on every word. Tears welled in Angie's daughter's eyes as she continued reading. One night, I sat alone, staring at a contract that could have ended my career. My bags were packed. I was ready to leave it all. And then I heard you singing. A ripple of shock swept through the venue. Your tiny voice humming one of my songs. And in that moment, I realized music was not just mine. It was yours, too. It ran through your veins, just like it did in mine. And I knew that if I gave it up, I wouldn't just be walking away from my career. I would be walking away from something we shared, something that connected us. Angie's daughter let out a shaky breath, barely able to speak through her tears. She had spent her entire life feeling like her mother had chosen music over her. But now she realized every note, every lyric, every performance had been for her all along. The audience sat in stunned silence. Some people covered their mouths in shock. Others wiped away silent tears. But before anyone could fully process what had just been revealed, the screen behind Angie's daughter flickered to life. A grainy video began to play. Gasps echoed through the venue as Angie's voice filled the air once again. If you're watching this, it means I didn't get the chance to tell you myself. She sat in a dimly lit room, her expression calm yet full of emotion. But I need you to know something. The crowd held its breath. All these years, I wondered if I made the right choice, she said softly. And now, even though I'm not there with you, I have my answer. Angie's daughter clutched her chest, tears streaming down her face. You were always my greatest song. A sob broke through the silence. People couldn't hold back their emotions anymore. The weight of those words shattered every misconception, every doubt, every lingering thought of whether Angie had truly put her daughter first. But just when it seemed like the emotional roller coaster had reached its peak, the screen flickered again. A new clip began to play. And what happened next changed everything. The screen flickered once more, and a new video began playing. The crowd, still reeling from Angie's heartbreaking confession, braced themselves. But nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to witness. Angie appeared again, this time in a home video, one that had never been seen by the public. She was sitting at a piano, her fingers gently pressing the keys. Her face was serene, but there was a depth in her eyes, as if she knew this moment would one day matter more than anything else. She took a deep breath, then smiled softly. "This is the song I never got to finish," she said. "But maybe you will." The room fell into a stunned silence. Angie's daughter clapped a hand over her mouth, overwhelmed. A choked sob escaped from somewhere in the audience. Then Angie began to play. A melody filled the air, raw, beautiful, unfinished. It was haunting, almost as if she were still there, guiding them through one final piece of her soul. Angie's daughter, tears streaming down her face, took a hesitant step forward. She placed her hand on her chest, feeling the weight of the moment. Then, as if the music had summoned something deep inside her, she did something no one expected. She walked over to the piano, sitting in the corner of the stage. Slowly, shakily, she sat down. And as the final notes of Angie's recording faded away, her daughter lifted her hands and began to play. The melody picked up exactly where Angie had left off, as if she had passed the torch in real time. The crowd watched in awe, some weeping openly, as the music, their music, finally found completion. By the time the last note faded into silence, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Angie's daughter wiped her tears, looking up at the screen where her mother's face still lingered. "I love you, Mom," she whispered. The audience erupted into applause, not out of celebration, but out of pure, raw emotion. A legacy had been sealed. A mother's love had spoken louder than any song ever could. And in that moment, it was clear. Angie Stone's voice would never truly be gone. What do you think about this emotional revelation? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with others. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.